Welcome, faithful listener, to Podtoid number 151.
It's one.
122. I'm Jim Sterling, I'm your host, and I am joined by Max Scoville.
Hello.
Tara Long.
Hey.
I pronounced it right this time, you see. Tara
Yes.
Long. And Jonathan Holmes.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Good. Who here has played LA Noire yet?
Me.
I have not played it.
You've not played Max
I watched the first 2 minutes of it on YouTube. I actually have it waiting for me. I just haven't played yet.
That's as good as playing it.
I dragged my ass down to GameStop at midnight last night and picked it up because it's my job. And
did they have a midnight opening for it there?
Yeah, apparently they had over 400 pre-orders too. So,
whoa, Rockstar.
Yeah.
That's for the San Francisco area, isn't it?
That was the downtown Powell Street GameStop.
Oh, I was just in there the other day.
I have
Did
a
they
feeling.
recognize you? Did they recognize you?
Yeah, you're famous.
No, the guy, we picked up an Xbox and the guy was like, I take it this is your first console, so apparently I come off as an idiot.
Wow. Yeah, I was in there and
No, it's just being fucking straight up sexist.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was in there and I mentioned that I work for Destructoid, and it was like, oh, I think I've met you, and I'm like, I don't think you have, but I wasn't quite sure. I didn't want to be rude, and I was like, he's like, when I met you, you were shorter, and I was like, oh. I was like, did I have a girl with me? And he's like, yeah, you did, and I was like, was she a redhead? And he says, yes, and I was like, well, oh, that might have been Carnage and Pico. There's too many gangly brunette guys who hang out with little redheads. So
I don't think you look too much like Carnage.
Yeah, definitely not. He's blonde, so.
Is he blonde now? I haven't seen him in months.
Well, I mean, he's got dirty blonde hair.
Oh, that's true.
He looks nothing like Max.
Yeah.
They're very different.
Tall.
But LA Noire, you guys like that thing?
Speaking of LA Noire,
Yeah,
John Carnage actually does look like a 1940s cartoon. And I mean that in the nicest way.
Yeah.
He looks like he was drawn by a 1940s political cartoonist.
Yeah, he's got a character actor sort of vibe to him.
He'd make a good noir detective.
Yeah, absolutely.
He reminds me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo a lot, actually.
I can see that as well.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. So you guys like that game there, LA Noire there?
yeah.
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 It's all right.
I don't even kind of want to play it. Like, I'm
Really?
totally adverse to playing it. Oh, no. Human faces? They're the worst. Just looking at them, like making, emoting at you. Oh, Jesus, no. I get enough of that in real life. And that's, like, kind of the hook of the game, right? Is that you look at a man, and then you're like, I think I know what you're thinking, man.
No, you're a detective. You're solving mysteries.
Yeah. The idea is to detect.
What's wrong with you, Holmes?
Detect whether people
Your
are...
last name is Holmes and you don't want to be a detective?
Well, I like detective games. I don't like human,
It's a missed
realistic
opportunity.
human face games.
Is it too creepy for you? Like Uncanny Valley type shit?
It's, it seems... When video games try to be like movies, it's kind of like when... If I were a gay man and I was trying to date a, really believable drag queen, it would kind of defeat the purpose. It's kind of like, I don't like women, but you're trying to look like a woman. Underneath it, you're a dude, but I don't...
Interesting.
What did you just say?
Where I come from, Jonathan, that's called the perfect crime. I can't think of anything better, and I'm being totally sincere here. There is nothing better than doing a drag queen up the arse. Sorry. I apologise. Every now and then I surprise myself with what I say.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If you
No, I'm actually being serious. I think cross-dressing is awesome. I don't do it myself because I'd look hideous.
I've done my fair share. It's not too bad.
It's
but
it has let's talk about video games, not
But when a game, I don't write about movies or think about movies that much because I prefer video games to movies. And then you get a game that's like, we're going to be like a movie. And we're like,
Well, here's the thing, Jonathan.
Yeah.
The other week, I actually did a Jimquisition video about video games and movies, and I've gone on record very famously as saying how much I hate that games, especially games such as Heavy Rain, are obsessed with Hollywood like it's the epitome of anything entertainment can be, and they struggle and desperately, cloyingly try to be a movie. I hate that as much as you, but I love L.A. Noire, so I would suggest you at least rent that thing and give it a chance and give it a look.
Okay. Because
I'm totally with you on everything you just said then, and the intent of a developer trying to be a movie is always... I don't like it. I do not like that intent, but the result, as far as L.A. Noire is concerned, is very good. So,
yeah, the game just seems so well crafted.
L.A. Noire feels like a success at what Heavy Rain should have been attempting to do.
See, that's what I've been saying. Yeah,
like if David Cage had like a good twin who didn't have his head all the way up his ass, and that guy made a game, that's what L.A. Noire would be, and the game worked. Like,
well, I mean, if David Cage just had someone looking over his shoulder while he's writing, just to say that bit doesn't work, take it out, change this bit, just a fucking editor, and the man has gone on record as saying he doesn't like people fucking giving him ideas or getting involved in the writing process. If anyone needs it, it's him.
Yeah.
I think all good writers will take advice from critics and members of their family and friends and other writers to make their work better. And David Cage... I'm not going to get on the subject of David Cage.
Anyway.
But I'm totally with you on that, Max. I've been saying that myself. It's like, it's the game Heavy Rain wanted to be, but isn't.
Without realizing it wanted to be that.
Yeah.
I keep finding myself just thinking about it, and L.A. Noire, there's parts where if I was watching someone play it, I wouldn't find it wouldn't look like it was fun to play. And I keep thinking to myself, it almost doesn't seem like something I should be enjoying, but I am like hooked on it. I'm absolutely adoring it. It's beautiful. Like, I was just sitting there grinning last night. I'm a detective. Like, this is so much fun, and it's.
Aww.
I mean, it's driving the cars. I think it's the first I think it's one of the first video games I've ever played where I don't want to break the cars. I actually want to drive at a reasonable pace because they're all so pretty. They're all like gorgeous classic cars.
Me and the wife have been sort of taking turns playing it because she's been obsessed with it as well. And there was actually, we were driving over the weekend and we saw a guy in a 1940s car driving past. And it looked like just like something out of L.A. Noire, and we both just looked at it and were just like, "Oh!" It was awesome, and it really makes you. The whole game actually has a beautiful 40s aesthetic, and that goes right down to the dialogue, which isn't just like over the top. Hey, go fly a kite. It's like genuine, and whenever they do say something, like there is at one point a character says, "Go soak your head," which is one of my favourite phrases of all time. But they don't overdo it. It feels very authentic, very of the time.
So it's not cheesy at all?
I don't think so. I mean, no, I don't think it is. It's not played for laughs, the game. It's not played for, like, oh, look at how adorably 1940s everything is. It feels genuine and heartfelt and like it was made with a genuine love for the 40s aesthetic and the 40s way of life. And it's clear they spent so long studying it and looking into society at the time, and just with the turns of phrases and the way they deal with, like, social classes. There's a lot in there about, like, racism, anti-Semitism, and all that kind of stuff that was brewing at the time. So it's really interesting, and unlike other games that Rockstar's been involved with, it feels very tasteful, very intellectual, not like they're just, like, it's not the sledgehammer approach when it comes to shocking content. Mm-hmm. And I said in the review that there's stuff in that game that has disturbed me more than any other video game I've ever played. The arson desk, some of the stuff in the arson cases is just nightmare fuel. And it's in a good way. It's like in a very sort of adult way. And when I say adult, I don't mean, oh, look, we've put a sex scene in our game, look at how deep and mature we are. It's proper adult. And to say entertainment is when you're dealing with some of the themes in there is a bit gauche, but it is pure adult sort of.
So it's treating you
art.
like an adult, it sounds like, as opposed
Very
to a
much.
teenager who wants to. Because, I think that the earlier GTA games seemed to appeal more to teenagers than adults, because it was kind of that smoking in the boys' room, I shouldn't be doing this, but I am sort of appeal. Yeah?
This is what earlier Rockstar games have been getting us ready for, I think. It's very much like, I mean, it's like the difference between if like GTA 4 is, I don't know, like Speed or some other, it was like your first R-rated movie, and it's like, it's cool, it's good, but it's not going to win an Oscar. This is like R-rated Oscar fodder that's still a movie. It's not like art house cinema. It's still got some, like, it's got punch. It's like a really good steak. That's the best way I can sum it up.
Yeah, and I think GTA 4 went towards that. GTA 4 had gotten a lot more serious and a lot more intelligent with its commentary and its social satire and whatnot. And then obviously they went to Team Bondi, and those guys have crafted what I think is the beginning of truly mature content in a mainstream game.
Yeah, I mean, it feels different.
Yeah.
There's a threshold that's been crossed here. I think it's pretty interesting.
And there are very few subjects they do not broach when it comes to shocking material. But again, it's not like they've used shock for shock's sake. It feels natural within the story, and nothing is glamorized, nothing is made. You're not supposed to think, this guy's just murdered that guy's just blown that guy's head off, that's fucking awesome.
Right.
Even when you as a cop have to do shooting, it's more of a line of duty thing, and it doesn't feel glorious when you've had to sort of shoot down a criminal. The main character, Phelps, will call it in and tell people, he'll say, we need an ambulance here and a coroner, and he'll look like really regretful as he says coroner. And it's just a truly adult game in the truest sense of the word.
So when you say adult, do you mean like not only inappropriate for children, but palatable to the priorities and the attitudes that most adults would have?
Yeah, I mean adult in the proper sense of the word, not in the video gamey sense of the word.
Right.
I mean, there are no like sex scenes or anything in the game. You don't go to a strip club, you don't cut someone's head off. But the violence and adult content that's in the game is of a very adult, grown-up nature.
I think a lot of teenagers are going to hate this game because it's not like, Red Dead Redemption with fedoras, and it's not, GTA 4 with like old cars and jazz.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like much of a power fantasy, really. It sounds like a real constant character study, where you're getting to know this world through each individual character.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're powerless. Yep. You're powerless, if anything. I mean, you're in the shoes of this guy, this Cole Phelps, who is trying to be a good cop in the 1940s, which is a big enough challenge as it is, and it constantly examines that challenge. It's not about feeling like a badass and being the king of a city. And I think there are people that are going to go into it expecting Grand Theft Auto on the other side of the law. They're going to be let down.
Right. Huh. Well, yeah, I should play it, I guess. I don't know, those faces. Just thinking about them.
The face thing, it feels like a puzzle game. When you're interrogating somebody, it's a very like abstract kind of puzzle game where you have to actually stop and think. It makes me think of old Encyclopedia Brown mysteries, or I guess any mystery where you're trying to do the whodunit, but on a very small scale, where if someone says something that doesn't match up with the clues you have, you can either you can lie, or you can call them on their bullshit, or you can doubt them, or you can believe them. And there's a factual kind of black and white area to it, and there's also the sort of like you get intuition points too, which I haven't played around with, but I think that's sort of like your freebie. It's really, really cool. And it's one of those things, describing it and watching it doesn't really sum up how much fun it actually is to do.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, oh no, please, go ahead.
I really like the Ace Attorney games on the DS. And they've got a similar, especially the last one, Apollo Justice. You've got to look for tells in people's like physical mannerisms.
That's exactly like LA Noire, but LA Noire kind of evolves the concept from the Phoenix Wright games into something just spectacular.
Yeah.
I like the Phoenix Wright stuff as well, but this game sort of feels like they really ran with the ball that Phoenix Wright kicked. And if you like Phoenix Wright, then yeah, again, check it out. Like the interrogations are a joy, if only just to watch these guys talking and giving away subtle clues. And it's very rare to see subtlety in a game. Just because of the limitations that we have at the moment. It's very hard to do a game that isn't in your face. And this game does it. It's by capturing like such realistic can't even talk today. So many realistic facial animations. You can get these characters that aren't so obvious with their lies. Like, you'll encounter some goons who'll scratch their neck, scratch their nose, look away from you in such an obvious way. And then you come up to, like, some really smooth shit-talker who might serve you a steaming pack of lies, but his giveaways for the lies are so subtle that your own innate sense of perception and your knowledge of the evidence is all that's going to help you. It's a real test of your own human ability to read faces and understand.
That sounds like so much work. Oh, I'm getting tired just thinking about it. Because, my day job, people lie to me, like, constantly. I'm constantly...
You'd probably be really good at this, then.
Probably, but it's just like, it's like a prostitute playing a handjob game when she gets home from work. It's like, no, not more handjob. Oh, I've been doing this all day.
That's a reasonable thing. I forgot what you did for real life. Because I pretend I'm a detective, but I don't actually get to question anybody.
Oh, I have to do it all the time. Oh, were you doing that crack? Oh, you were, huh? Anyway, enough about that. Yeah, I feel like I talk about my day job too much. Well, on sheer enthusiasm of little Max Scoville playing the game late at night, saying to himself, "I'm a detective," that alone gets me wanting to try.
I'd like to preface this by one of the... I've been wanting to be a detective for about, like, maybe 7 years now. I've always wanted to be a cowboy. That's a fact. But like, I think it was in 2006. I picked up this CD. It was like a promo CD when I worked at Tower Records, and it's called Film Noire. And it's a collection of old noir themes from like all. I mean, it's got like Taxi Driver. It's got I think LA Confidential. Like some. It's got like Mulholland Drive. It's just a mix of it. And I just put it on. And I'd wear like a blazer, and I just walk around smoking cigarettes, and I'd pretend I was a detective. And then at one point, I actually dressed up. I have a picture. I'll put it up somewhere. And I had long hair at the time, so the ponytail makes me more look like Penn Jillette wearing sunglasses. But I was trying really hard to be a detective. And I moved to San Francisco, which is like, I love the whole Hitchcock feel of this town. I lived like 2 blocks away from where they filmed The Maltese Falcon. And it's just... Sometimes it's just raining. And like going to GameStop last night, I was just so stoked on like the whole detective feel of this fucking city. And I don't know. I just, maybe I'm biased because I want to be a detective so bad, but I think this game is really neat.
It gets in your blood, and it does make you feel like a fucking badass detective. To the point where like I completed the game on Sunday, and I'll pick up my USB stick, and I'll just turn it in my hand like you do with Phelps. And then in my head, I'll hear doo-doo-doo-doo.
Is that the musical cue that you've stumbled upon?
Yes, when you've done something right, yeah. Doo-doo-doo.
I love the music in the game is so great. Rockstar's been so good at finding like time appropriate stuff. And I mean, how many people like hated Twisted Sister when they got Vice City, and then they kind of just got used to it being there, like, old 80s butt rock or whatever. And sure. I think they've just, you don't always like the background music. And I think that, making a jazz game 5 years ago would probably be like, what is this old people's grandpa music? But like, there's this part where I'm questioning a lady, and it's like, ma'am, is your husband dead? Have you killed your husband? And in the background, it's just like, we just told her we found her like a bloody car, and oh man, is he dead? Do you like this song? Because I think of like people wearing hats with fruit on them. I don't know.
I love accusing suspects of lying though, just because you can back out of any lie. And Cole Phelps' backouts are so funny because he can be like, admit it, you killed this man, buried him, and you're looking to collect on the insurance. And she'll be like, oh, how could you say such a terrible thing? Why, I oughta... And she'll ask for proof, and if you don't have it, you can press circle and back out. And then after that huge accusation, he'll just be like, sorry, just gotta shake the tree and see what falls out.
You are an incredibly rude man, but yes, it's true.
My mistake. That bit's quite funny. Not realistic in one of the few ways it kind of isn't realistic. But
that's what I've always been all about. I mean, I'm okay with games that try to be like movies as long as they're unintentional parodies of movies. Do you know what I mean by that? Like Shenmue, just couldn't put that down. Laughing from beginning to end. Yeah, no?
I get what you mean. Yeah, if you can get some entertainment from it, wherever the entertainment comes from, everything's good.
Well, I love it when movies get made fun of. I kind of hate movies, guys. Yeah.
You're like the opposite of Max.
Yeah, they're just jerk documentaries. Just a bunch of jerks on screen.
No, I can show you some jerk documentaries.
Can you?
Yeah, they're the kind of movies I like.
Yeah, maybe.
In all seriousness, no, ladies and gentlemen, I watch an incredible amount of pornography. Which is why I'm such a misogynist. Women, to me, are just three-dimensional porn.
Wow. They're gonna take that run with it.
Oh, they already did. I made that joke before. It's on like 1 billion feminist blogs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I was noticing. I found out someone on Twitter is named Jam Starling, I think.
I think it's something like that. Yeah, they just write just
mean
sexist comments as me, which is funny, I guess.
The funny thing about feminist blogs is that they never have any tits on them, and I'm just so disappointed by that.
Keep going, Max. Please, I need someone to deflect all the blame off me. People don't realise this, but everything I learned about hating women, I learned from Max.
I used to have a beard and a cape and a castle, and Jim would come over and we'd just read Cosmo and we'd make fun of it because girls are dumb. I don't know where I'm going.
Then we'd watch old episodes of The Ass Master and laugh.
There's episodes of something called The Ass Master?
Mm-hmm.
We actually built a fully functional bang bus.
Gravy.
It's okay. We're talking about LA Noire, which is set in the 40s.
It's okay. There's a woman here.
Exactly. Women are always good. They're always a good get out of jail free card. So that
on the show, we asked for LA Noire video reactions, and I think we already got one where someone was talking about the sexism in the game and how it's a man's game, and I was just like, okay,
really?
I don't know. I was half listening.
Well, welcome to the 1940s.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Cole Phelps is actually very progressive, and there are moments in the game where he kind of speaks out against typical 40s sexist attitudes.
Well, they're talking about the game before it came out, I assume, that it's sexist, right? Because it's not out yet, is it?
They're probably
anybody who gets outraged at this game is just dumb.
I mean, 9 times out of 10 when people get outraged about anything, it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's usually people that can't separate, they can't view things in context, and they can't separate jokes from actual sort of real, sincere instances of hate, or, anything of that nature. So, fuck it.
Yeah. But in this game's case, I really think that nothing's being done in a puerile, sensationalist, or tawdry manner. It's not kind of in that,
No.
There's no pornographic or exploitative angle to this game. I'm just kind of wowed by that, I mean,
I'd say anybody who finds something pornographic or salacious in LA Noire, I think that says a lot more about them than it does about LA Noire itself. Because if anybody can find anything salacious about some of the shit in that game, I don't want to talk to them. They're probably the next generation Defrijama.
Jim, how was the pubic hair?
I said Def Jam Llama.
Actually, John Carnage texted me last night, and he was like, "We're going to be playing LA Noire on the live stream, and we need to know if what the nudity level is. And I said, I don't know. I hear that there's pubic hair in it. And he said, I guess I'll have to go through. And then I think I just texted him pubical effects. Or he said something about digital pubes. And I'm like, yeah, very convincing pubical effects.
Yeah, there's nudity in it, but you can't. It's hard to describe it as nudity because of the context of it. Again, anybody who gets off on the nudity in LA Noire, I think serious words need to be had with their parents.
Is it butts?
It's like dead people, isn't it?
It's the ASRB gave this away. It's like, I mean, the serial killer character in one of the story arcs is, and I'm not giving anything away here, don't worry about it. It's based on the Black Dahlia.
Oh, okay.
And, of course, anyone who knows about the Black Dahlia case knows that it involved a mutilated dead lady who was found naked and presented in a rather grotesque fashion. And it's that kind of stuff. So, again, if you find it pornographic or it demeans women in that way, it's like, have a serious fucking word with yourself, because that's not the context.
Well, that sounds like a lot of work to have a word with yourself. I don't think people are going to do that. They'd rather just...
I do that regularly. I do that regularly because it guarantees fine conversation.
Oh, ooh, nice. Turn that one around. I kind of like the Black Dahlia movie. Does that make me weird? Had that guy there. Yeah, it's good. Is
that the one with Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, it's Brian De Palma.
Wasn't that?
I thought you hated movies.
I hate them in theory. In practice, I like quite a few.
Answer the question. You're a liar. Sorry, gotta shake the tree and see what falls out.
Yeah. I strained my neck on that laugh, actually. I squeaked a little too hard.
That was excellent detective work, though, Schofield. You're halfway there already.
Yeah.
Halfway
to be a detective so bad. You don't even know. I'm actually really excited to go to LA for E3 just so that we can be detectives in LA.
Whoa.
If you think about it, being a journalist is a lot like being a detective for sissies. It's like really being a reporter is seriously like low stakes detective work. I mean, you're not going to get killed necessarily unless you're like a really good, muckraker, but
Yeah, you really just changed your job description into something you like.
Max isn't going to do any work at E3. He's just going to be in the LA Convention Center's parking lot picking up cigarette butts and just looking at them over and over.
I'll bring my giant magnifying glass.
Feeling the pavement for warm tracks.
I think a train came by here. Really? Why? Is it because of the train tracks? Possibly.
Speaking of detectives, I guess we could talk about that Batman game there.
Batman.
Gotham City Impostors,
Gotham City Impostors. You're doing a better job of being a host than me. You should do this.
Just every once in a while, I move things along just in case.
Yeah, you should do this. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm tired today.
Oh, you're doing great, Jim. As always. This is kind of just the People Laugh at Jim podcast, which I enjoy. It works for me. Just get to sit here and have some...
I left my home country to stop people laughing at me, because being fat isn't as normal over there. So people will just drive past in their cars and shout, "Oi, you fat cunt!" And I'll be like, "Really? I wasn't aware." I had someone throw a full can of soft drink at me once.
What?
This car sped past full can. I don't know if it's that they thought he was fat and needed the sodium, but amazing. Anyway, speaking of terrible cities overrun by dicks, Gotham City Impostors.
Wow, you just outshined me there. That was a great transition. Yeah, Gotham City Impostors. It's what, a first-person shooter?
First-person shooter, developed by Monolith, the guys behind the Fear series, which I've always liked. It's a kind of divisive series. But yeah, Warner Brothers had this weird pitch sent to them by Monolith, and not even Warner Brothers were prepared for it. It was just some guys at Monolith were like, "I want to do a Batman game, but I've got a really stupid idea for it." And I actually mean that. I mean that in a kind of good way as well, because it is a stupid idea, but it's one of those stupid enough that it could work kind of ideas. Mm-hmm. For those who aren't aware, Nick Chester did a preview of it on Destructoid. That's available to read now if you want. No pressure, just do it if you want. And it's basically like Team Fortress 2 in Gotham City with cosplayers, essentially. Two teams, one of them all dressed up like different Batman, and another team all dressed up like different Jokers. And you can customize your character so that it looks like a very unique, personal Joker or Batman. And yeah, you choose different body types, and they've got different skills, and you choose different gadgets, and you've all got different weapons, assault rifles, rocket launchers. So it is kind of, people have been saying, Team Fortress 2 in the Batman universe.
So with body types, I noticed normal, gigantic, insane, and sexy lady. Is that pretty much the 4?
I think so far I've only seen 3, which is speedy, nimble, and heavy or bulky or big or something. Mostly confused because usually speedy and nimble are thrown into the same body type. So there doesn't seem to be like a medium. It's usually, small and light, medium, jack of all trades, and then the big, heavy, slow, brute kind of guy. So I don't know what they're doing with speedy, nimble, and big. But there you go.
If you think about it, it kind of breaks down like our whole podcast class system, really.
Oh yeah. You're nimble,
a
Max?
big guy, a medium guy, and a little guy, and a girl.
Sexy lady, sure.
Sexy lady.
Who's the little guy?
I don't know.
Me, I guess.
Wait,
I'm shorter than you guys.
Jim, I think that we have the kind of breakdown of the 3 Big Brother ghosts from Casper. Fat's so stinky and stretch.
Oh, I should be offended, but that's just too good. Oh.
Yeah.
We almost talked about Batman, Gotham City Impostors.
Let's talk about Casper instead.
Oh, we came close. We gave it the good old college try.
Yeah. What can we say about it?
Okay.
Going back to that, I think that one thing we almost touched on this last time with Brink, and Brink is sort of similar to Team Fortress in the whole class system and the customization and everything, and the fact that there really doesn't need to be a story there, but there kind of is, even though it's just multiplayer. And I think that it's like they're starting to take that kind of Team Fortress 2 model and licensing it. And I mean, you could do this with Batman. That wouldn't be the first thing that I'd pick. You could also do it with like Star Wars, X-Men. I don't know. Pick something. Lord of the Rings. Make it a first-person shooter. Class-based multiplayer.
I think it's a pretty brilliant
Third
choice.
Rock from the Sun.
Exactly.
A whole team of John Lithgows. I think I've just stumbled upon the dream.
Well, the thing about Batman is his appeal is that, anybody who puts their mind to it could just be Batman. And
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was going to just say, the whole Batman story kind of lends itself well to the idea of vigilante justice,
Sure. And anyone who wanted to just be an obnoxious dick could just be the Joker. That's all he really...
Yeah.
In terms of...
It makes me think of in the Dark Knight Returns. If you haven't read it, it's one of the better comics ever written. But they have like copycat gangs that form. Originally, there's the gang, the Mutants, who are kind of like futuristic Jokers. The Jokers in Batman Beyond were actually based on them a little bit. But they're just a bunch of like scumbag street punks who have like cool haircuts. And then Batman shows up, takes down the head Joker, and then this other gang shows up called the Batman or the Bat Boys or something. And they just like imitate Batman and go around, and you've got these like rival gangs of like, we like criminals, we like Batman, and it's like.
Didn't the same thing kind of happen in Spider-Man?
I don't think so.
That never happened.
No, I know.
I swear to God, it happened in the movie.
well.
They had like copycats.
No, that happened in Dark Knight Returns. There were some dudes in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just the Dark Knight, the movie with.
The one.
Grumbly there.
What's the difference between what you do and what I do? I don't wear hockey pants.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, when you think about it, is a pretty lame justification. That's just Bruce Wayne being a fucking rich
kind of
boy,
elitist. Yeah, what a dick.
Yeah.
I don't really like Bruce Wayne that much.
The white man keeping people like me down again.
And that's the only difference, is the hockey pants. Other than that, they're identical.
You can't come into Club Bat. You're wearing sneakers. I'm Bruce Wayne and I'm a dick.
Well, you know, the in the Batman comics now, it's all about Batman recruiting people to be like that region's Batman. It's called Batman Incorporated these days. So there's like 20 Batman already.
Fucking sellout.
So he's like profiting now, basically.
No, it's not a profit deal. It's more like the Peace Corps.
It's unpaid labor though. It's a Batman
Interesting.
sweatshop.
So it's slave labor.
No, franchise.
That's about right. The Japanese Batman's pretty badass anyway. All right, so this game, you guys want to play it? What do you think? Let's talk about the game.
I would try it out. I actually, when I first saw the screenshot of all the characters, I thought it was a kid's game because Batman is kind of dressed very juvenile, and I don't know, something about maybe the way he's standing.
They've got a very cartoony art style, more so than the Arkham City, Arkham Asylum type art style. It's a lot more in line with a cartoon.
Yeah. I think it's making fun of how insane comic book fans are a little bit, but in a semi-affectionate way.
And again, it has that Team Fortress non-serious kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I'd like to point out that I think that Marvel is doing much better on the kind of taking their old titles and modernizing them and adapting them well with the whole Ultimate timeline, and they're doing much better on the movie front, but DC definitely has the market cornered on
the games,
cartoons and games.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's actually, considering how many Batman games have come out, the fact that they're managing to keep it so fresh is pretty surprising.
I mean, they hit a revelation with Arkham Asylum, and it's everything I've heard about Arkham City makes it sound like God poured into a glass. So,
yeah, it does sound pretty good.
I like how Captain America, the movie game, is just trying to be like Arkham Asylum, but in a German castle.
Is that what it's trying to do? I've avoided that game.
It's a movie tie-in, so you got to cut it some slack, and obviously people worked on it, so I don't want to be a dick about it. It hasn't come out yet. I mean, check it out, give it a try. But they've put a lot of stress on the combat system, and you're in this one, you're in Baron Zemo's castle or something. And what I love is you just go around picking up. There's a lot of collectible items, but they're like Baron Zemo's family heirlooms, which I thought was really funny. You fucking go around in Nazi Germany stealing shit, like Captain America stealing shit.
And what do you want with Baron Zemo's stuff? Isn't it all severed heads and genetic code?
No, it's his heirlooms. It's when I played it, I actually fucking stole a Fabergé egg.
What?
Upholder of truth and justice, and hitting the pawn shop right as soon as he gets some shore leave.
Well, I tell you what, that is kind of similar to the way America does behave with the whole going into someone else's country and taking their stuff. Political satire.
You did it. I'd be psyched if the merchant from Resident Evil 4 just showed up in that game and you got to sell your eggs to him.
You just pawn the stuff off to him, yeah. I've stolen this man's family heirlooms. Probably, the only thing keeping a touch of humanity in him. Have it. Okay, let's move on. Talking about free things, which we weren't really. PSN games free.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Sony has come up with its welcome back package in addition to the Curiosity and the PlayStation Plus trial and free rentals and that kind of nonsense. It's told people what they really want to hear about, which is the free games. PS3 users can select 2 from a choice of several games, including Little Big Planet, Infamous, Stardust HD, Wipeout, and another. And PSP users can sort of pick up stuff, Killzone Liberation, Little Big Planet, Mod Nation Racers, Pursuit Force. So just that kind of stuff. And some people love it, some people really appreciate it. Some people are like, Sony didn't even have to give a shit, so anything's good, which is kind of the boat I'm in. And then there are people who are furious because they own everything that's already been offered. So, yeah, what do you guys think of that? Jonathan, if you want to kick off, what do you think Sony, did they do well here?
I don't think they did well. I think it would have been much simpler and would have guaranteed that everybody is happy if they just put some fake money in your fake wallet for PSN, even if it wasn't a lot, if it was $10 or $20 or something. I don't know how much it costs to download full games like Infamous and Little Big Planet, though, because I still had a 20 gigabyte PS3 before it got robbed, so I'd never downloaded a full game. How much did they normally cost? Do you guys know?
I think Little Big Planet was $20.
Yeah? Huh.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they would have lost a ton of money if they just gave everyone $20. That would have worked better for me because I don't really want any of those games anyway.
I think the biggest problem with that is all the games they've offered are first party sort of published titles.
Mm-hmm.
If you give everyone $20, they can go and download third party games. And to be honest, I think those guys have lost enough money to then have games be given away for free. I think if they'd have offered money, unless they were to give $20 to every potential publisher who could have their game downloaded on PSN as well, I don't think it would have flown with the publishers who, let's face it, lost a lot more than consumers did and probably have far more of a right to be pissed off.
Sure, that's true.
Yeah,
I
kind of agree.
understand why they did. I mean, their hands are tied. They're very limited with what they can offer. And personally, and this is coming from someone who has either played all the games on offer or doesn't care about the games that he hasn't played, I'm not pissed off. I think they did okay. I think it was
I'm not pissed off either, but it didn't work. If what they wanted me to feel is like, oh, they care, I was like, oh, they kind of care. I mean, they could have opened it up to all the other first-party games then, and just given you an option to take anything.
They did have the power to offer more recent things like Heavy Rain or something like that.
Sure. I was really excited.
It makes
Sorry,
me
go
think of the episode of Friends where Chandler has a crush on Joey's girlfriend, and it's her birthday, and Joey wants to give her a pen, but Chandler goes out and finds a first edition copy of The Velveteen Rabbit, which Joey then gives her. And, he doesn't get why that's a special present, but Chandler does. I think basically Sony is it's like someone told them, yeah, you should give games away. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Here are some games. Those are good games, aren't they? They don't get it. They tried. I mean, it's the thought that counts, I guess. But it's like they don't fully get it. It looks like that to me. I don't know.
Right,
Here's the thing. I think they specifically chose a lot of these games because they have sequels, and it might encourage people to buy the sequels if they play the originals and decide that they like them.
I think that's
I can see it's why they chose Little Big Planet over Little Big Planet 2, for instance.
And Infamous 2 is coming out, and
Yeah. It's actually a very astute point.
Indeed.
I think there's most likely truth to that. I mean, it's probably the same reason they've given away this PSN Plus trial for 30 days. That's an advertisement. That's not a freebie.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I would not be surprised at all if it was on some recurring, payment plan where you sign up for it and they just charge you,
Yeah, it just keeps going unless you cancel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
that's
have a
probably
PS3
why I wouldn't
anymore,
even take
so.
advantage of that.
I hope that's what happens. That would be hilarious to see the free
Yeah,
that
for
would
you.
be amusing. But I might try it out. But I see no reason to give a flying tuppence about PSN Plus. It does nothing for me. I mean, it essentially lets you rent games for free, which I guess is cool. But it's usually PS1 games, and generally I've either already got those or I'll happily buy it and keep it forever. So I don't know, PSN Plus does nothing for me. But these games, I might get Infamous again. I mean, it was alright. I rag on it a lot, but it was an alright game.
Yeah,
so
it's not terrible.
I might play it again before the sequel.
You know what it would have been? Infamous?
Infamous and Little Big Planet 2. We've got a PS3 here, so those are probably what I'm going to choose.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what would have been awesome is if they used the opportunity to just make everybody's PS3 backwards compatible. Just flip the switch. We're sorry, we should have done this before. We'll just do it
There's
now.
actually a button secretly hidden in the back of the PS3.
I mean, that would have flipped everybody out.
They would, awesome. If that was somehow possible. Actually, I believe they were working on simulating the chip that they took out, as a piece of software. There's always been rumors of them doing that. If they'd have actually done that, they'd have shot right back up into my top favourite company of all time. Yeah. And then I'd have rushed right out and bought Shadow Hearts and masturbated forever.
Forever.
Everyone lived happily ever after.
What they should have done is had Lair as one of the downloadable games, because, and I'm not even joking, whenever there's a selection of free games, I usually want the shittest one, because it's usually so shit that I want to see what it's like, but I don't want to spend money on it. So Lair would have been perfect. Someone actually sent me a joke tweet that was like, "Oh, I bet you're disappointed Lair's not on there," and I was like, "Yes, I am. It's a brilliant idea."
That's a really good point.
Yeah, all I get for Christmas, actually, based on that principle, is shitty video games, because I have all the good ones already by the time Christmas comes.
Yeah, like you want to go for the crap ones.
Yeah, that's all the.
I usually buy shit games because, obviously, being a reviews editor, I do a lot of reviews. I usually get all the games that are good. Or at least the ones that I sort of think are good. It doesn't always gel with what everyone else thinks, but the ones that I wanted to check out. So I've got spare cash, and then I'll buy something like Morph X. Or...
Whoa, I don't even know what that is. Morph X?
Don't ever learn what it is. There's nothing to be gained. But one day I know I'm going to purchase Vampire Reign, just for a laugh, just to see what it's like, but I would prefer it if they gave away shitty games like that.
I'm trying to remember which one that is. That came out, 2 years ago?
No, that was... it was on the 360 back when I was in England.
Oh,
I think it was out in 2006, 2007.
That's before Oni-Chanbara came out then. I remember them kind of being
way
same sentence.
Way before.
I love that game.
Oni-Chanbara?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the games I rebought that was stolen. I couldn't say no.
I actually need to go pick that up. It's just, it's so weird.
I can't help but love it. Yeah, it's
just
terrible,
so fucking Japanese and dirty and like, I don't know. It's one of those things when somebody walks in the room and you're like, "What are you playing?" And it's just you want to describe it to them. You don't want to tell them what it is because they'll just get bored of that. But you're this like half naked cowgirl and you have a sword and there's these fucking zombies and you're cutting them up. And if you cut up too many of them, your sword gets covered in goo, so you got to shake it off. And
if you get covered in blood, you get tougher. The more wet you get. It's so tacky.
Yeah, and there's a shower scene in the beginning.
Oh, is that the 360 one then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got that one. I still need to pick it up.
It's pretty good. There's a shower scene in the beginning.
Yeah, and the zombie orca, right? It's kind of infamous orca.
Yeah, I don't know. I played that for like a little bit. I was just it's one of those games that I think it's almost as fun to describe it as it is to play it. Like
you love the idea of it.
It's more fun to talk about than play, I think. It's one of those. I
love games like that. High concept.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the deep emotional implications of the genre, but I can't say that in practice they kind of reach their lofty expositionary goals.
That was an awesome sentence. I'm just in awe. I loved it.
So I guess there's a lot of cynicism from everyone concerning PSN's free games, at least from the cast here.
I think it's fine. I don't think it's like a sham, and I don't think people should be that mad at them for this happening in the first place because it's bound to happen to everybody else.
Well, I think of what Microsoft gave us for Xbox Live going down, which is a service we pay for, and they gave us crappy fucking Undertow, which is a terrible game, and the only reason they gave it to us is because nobody wanted that shit. So
better than that.
They could have just given us like Pain or Ragdoll Kung Fu and said, problem, and they did. they put
went all out for retail. Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't say they went all out, but they went, and that's something. They put in a token effort, and I think that's enough for me to just show a bit of effort, like a bit of thought went into it. Like they didn't just pick the least selling game on PSN and said, "Here, have that. It's a freebie. What are you complaining about?"
Coming from Sony, it's a big step, I think, because they have if we've learned anything in the last God knows how many weeks of this, and like even before that, the whole GeoHot thing, it's just that they have a weird kind of like, I picture guys in suits. I don't picture anybody else. Like I picture Sony, and I don't know. They don't seem like the type who really knows how to like get down to earth and relate to their fan base.
I think of them as like the IT department of the video game world. They're like not into human beings too much, not into talking to people. They just
They just
know.
don't have a sense of humor.
Oh, that too. Yeah, very, very straight-laced
feel
and
like
serious.
if humans all died out, I feel like Sony would still introduce like new like high-tech shit every few years anyway. They'd be like, we've got a new format. Who's interested? And there's just a bunch of skeletons and like tumbleweeds, and they're like, that's right, it's the universal mini disc mini
Whoa,
MD
you did some robot voice.
Yeah,
duo
that was awesome.
memory. Yeah, that works.
That was almost like you did it on purpose. Yeah, that was impressive. Have
And
you guys
yet,
played-
even in that far-flung future, they wouldn't have found out a way to make the PSP fucking convenient to use. It's probably PS3 firmware that will destroy the human race.
Well, there's plenty of it. And it's
Yeah,
very
at least it would be doing something.
Whoa, that was Venom. That was good stuff. Have you guys played The Last Guy?
Nope.
Is that the top-down zombie?
You have played it.
I have played it then, yeah. Only a bit of it.
That's what I was hoping they were going to give away. Just so
That would have
everyone-
been nice.
I
I've
love
heard
that.
good things about it.
Yeah, the soundtrack sounds exactly like the old 1970s pop song called Popcorn. You guys know that song?
No,
No.
I don't.
Here I am doing it again. Didn't I do this last talk about stuff?
I know Pop in an Old Oak, which was the follow-up to the Redneck song Cotton Eye Joe, sounded exactly the same.
Pop in the Old Oak?
Pop in an Old Oak, it was exactly the same as Cotton Eye Joe, but with different words, basically.
You know what's a sad thing is that Taco's putting on the Ritz, as wonderful it is everything else he did is like it's another song from that era sung the exact same way.
You see, that's,
Really?
That's the
Yeah.
problem with these one-hit wonders. Usually, there was a very popular song in Europe back when I lived in England, and I was about 11 years old. One of those big summer number ones. You know, you usually get this big one-hit wonder that comes at the summer and is on air for over 6 weeks and then disappears. And it was called Saturday Night. It was a big popular song, Saturday Night, infectious fucking thing. Heard it for 6 weeks, brilliant. Wonder what the follow-up's going to be. She's got to really knock it out of the park. Friday Night. What is the point? What is the fucking point? And the Rednecks weren't even fucking rednecks. Unbelievable.
That was the name of the group, the Rednecks?
The
Or are we
Rednecks.
talking
You know, the
something else?
Cotton Eye Joe, Cotton Eye Joe.
I sort of know about them.
Where come from? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
I'm familiar with-
I always put them side by side with Scatman John. They just kind of I probably from seeing them both on.
Oh, wow.
What now?
Some guys are all 10 years younger than me.
I love Scott.
Oh, now I know it. That other stuff.
Yeah.
Mamba number 5. That's
Oh yeah.
of the 90s.
Somewhere rednecks and like Scatman John and Lou Bega are all just like they're just in like a
Bega.
spoiler room somewhere like freebasing a lot.
I've got this huge 90s kick. I downloaded No Rain, that hippie one.
Blind Melon. Yeah.
By Melon, Mr. Vane by Europe Beat.
No.
Damn
Down-
right. Damn right. I've been calling him Mr. Raider all week. What else have I been downloading? No Limit by 2 Unlimited. I don't think you guys will know that
That's
one.
British, right?
Yeah,
I think
boom,
we
boom,
get back
boom.
into early 90s dance like LaBouche and fucking I don't know. Not the Eurythmics, but the ones who did covers of them. Oh, the Real McCoy. Like that kind of it's like that kind of weird mutation of like 80s like the bastard mutation of Yazoo, like that kind of really like early 90s
You're blowing
pure
my mind.
dance or whatever.
I
Yeah.
was like in one long Primus concert during the early 90s. I don't remember any of this. Yazoo? What is a... I remember that I'm Horny song.
I'm on
He's so
it.
funny.
Honey, honey, honey. I'm on it. Honey, honey, honey. Honey, honey, honey.
Tonight.
I love the 90s.
Tonight.
It's
Yeah.
too... The 90s is too much. You know, I was in Kroger, which is an awful fucking supermarket in the middle of buttfuck Mississippi, and Don't Steal My Sunshine came on the radio in there, and I just stopped what I was doing. I didn't care who was looking. I was dancing around, getting right, like dangerously close to my wife's face, just going, "Don't steal my sunshine."
That's Lem, right?
Yeah, Len. And they're brother and sister from Canada. With
really?
Kind of, if you watch the video for that, they get kind of weirdly incestuous. It's creepy.
Yeah, there's a market for that.
Yeah, totally.
I was writing a song. All the singing is making me thinking. I drive a lot these days, like 40 minutes there and back, so it's an hour and a half or so. So I ended up writing a song about The Bucket List, starring Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman today. Now that we're not talking about video games at all, I figured I'd just let you know. Do you guys want to? I actually need help finishing it. If you guys want to help.
Oh
sure.
my.
Yeah, it won't take long. Sorry,
I wasn't doing anything, so
let me see if I can remember it.
guess I could fit you in.
It was kind of like Desperado, as I remember. All right, I think it goes. They've got a bucket list. They're both known by Batman, and they've got a bad plan. Because Morgan Freeman knows Batman, and so does Jack Nicholson. Right. And they, let me get back.
Lucius Fox and the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got a bad plan for ending their lives. There's a black one and a white one, but they're still good friends.
It sounds like a commercial.
Yeah, well, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Yeah. And that's about all I have. Then there's something about the Great Wall of China and a Harley motorcycle, but I couldn't rhyme with black one and white one. Yeah.
I once wrote a song about Bruce Willis turning into a morbidly obese baby. I can't even remember.
It could happen.
It could. I can't even remember any of the lyrics. It was like things like, why did you throw it all away to become a morbidly obese baby?
Oh, that's awesome.
You had so much to give, but it was that kind of. It was basically questioning why Bruce Willis made that decision.
He isn't morbidly obese, though.
Huh?
He's never become.
No, that's the idea. Is like one day it's all over the papers.
Oh.
He's turned into like a newborn baby that's fat. and it was a haunting song questioning why Bruce Willis is a fat baby now.
That's a very interesting hypothetical.
Okay, I was going to talk about Modern Warfare 3, but fuck it. Who cares?
I don't know what to say other than people are gonna buy it. It's gonna be like that other one.
I'm looking forward to it, but I have nothing I can say about it. That's the thing. Like,
there's nothing to say. It takes place around the world. It's gonna involve Russians, and it's gonna have modern warfare. The trailer has a bunch of green shit blowing up. Like, what are you gonna talk about? Yeah, it's like the Matrix.
Yeah, it is pretty Matrixy, isn't it? Which is almost 90s retro.
Well, I feel like the people who play Modern Warfare probably don't catch that reference because they don't watch oldies. They don't watch old movies.
What's the Matrix?
The Matrix, whatever. Special effects suck in this movie.
Which is a shame because I think 90s influences would help it. I think the soundtrack should be done by Gabrielle, the one-eyed pop starlet of the 90s.
Whoa, who's that? Is that like Tattoo?
No.
I know Tattoo.
Tattoo were the best.
Yeah, those are the sisters.
I like that video where they lesed off.
I like it. Yeah, I like that. They were like, we're not actually lesbians, but we do like to pretend we're lesbians. But hey, we're Russians, and we have a manga.
Yeah.
And
they have their own manga?
They had a fucking manga, I think. Or somebody made one on DeviantArt. It doesn't matter, but it was kind of hot, so whatever. It was just all the real lesbians were like, they're not real lesbians. It's like, whatever.
Yeah,
shut up.
Who fucking
They're on a train or something.
I mean, so they could have knocked on my door and said, we're not lesbians, but we like to pretend to be lesbians for money. Is that cool with you? And I'd have said, oh, yes.
Where do I sign?
I'll give you a tattoo. My spunk on your ass.
Whoa! He just did it. He doesn't even plan it out. It just comes out.
Yeah.
That's because it's natural, pure, unbridled misogyny.
Yeah.
I'm married to a feminist. It's okay. That's my get out of jail free card. I can say whatever the fuck I like.
Yeah, and I'm dating a girl, so it's also.
How can I be misogynist? I know a girl. Actually, I brought it. I don't think I brought it up on at least this generation of Podtoid, but that's how my racist cab dispatcher when I worked in a cab firm got out of being racist. His big excuse, after spending an evening slagging off Africans and Indians and the Irish, he'd then go, "How am I racist? I like Stevie Wonder."
Oh, wow.
I've got one of his albums, which, fair play to him, that works. Oh, racist Dave the cab driver.
Oh, man.
Okay, let's...
Is he a character in that? Like, is he gonna show
He's
up?
real, I think.
Is he gonna be in video games? Is
Racist Dave the cab driver?
Racist
No,
Dave the cab driver.
I played
that game.
He was quite real. Used to also go by the name DJ Chronic. So,
Wow.
There you go.
What?
Hey, I got a crazy idea. What's the weirdest jobs we've each had? 1, 2, 3, go.
That's impossible. My jobs have been so weird.
Road rules.
They're all
moving on.
weird. Which one hasn't been weird? Yeah.
Yeah, road rules.
Road
That
rules is
counts.
weird, sure. They paid me a little.
Tara, your turn.
I don't fucking know, man. I guess I've had really boring jobs, except for like my last job, which is only interesting to me, the science one. But before that, like all I ever did in college was like data entry and like, shit like that. Typical stuff you do as a, in college math major. With no
Jim,
idea
what about
you're
you?
gonna do.
I've spent my entire sort of life before writing just doing fucking boring call center jobs. I'd almost feel pretentious enough to claim that my very, very unsuccessful comedy career was a job when it wasn't. Interesting, but not a job, so I can't really... I spent most of my time working for like small, shitty little companies in the above shops in the middle of like nasty little London boroughs that are pretending to be multinational corporations when they're not. So that's pretty much been my work history.
I remember how miserable. That's when we first met, when you were first at Destructoid, right?
I was still working at the cab office then, and that was
Yeah.
a soul-crushing job. It wasn't
Yeah, I
weird or
remember that.
funny. It's just, when you're working till 6 a.m. in the morning, getting phone calls from drunk people going, "Where's my cab, you cunt?" From, being
I knew you'd make it sound good.
Being
I
talked
knew-
down to by people who are clearly your like intellectual inferior. As soon as they go, I'm in the house in New Cross. I'm like, you're in the big nightclub in New Cross. I already know you're scum. And you've got to treat them like they're the fucking king of the world. And a man of my arrogance, found that incredibly difficult to swallow every night. And somehow I made it work for, I think, can't remember how long I had that job, but it was too long.
Yeah, sometime.
Yeah.
Still made it sound like a fun job, though. I know you'd try to make it sound bad, but...
Well, it was... the cab dispatchers generally didn't care if you were rude to the customers. The people who owned the company did, but you had a 50-50 chance of them not listening to the recording of the call, so you had fun with it. And the people who worked in the office were fucking lovely. I loved working with all the people up there, except for, any ones that said racist things. But, yeah, it was fun to just, we'd gather around each other and listen whenever one of us was slagging off a customer down the phone at them. And they were usually too drunk to remember to complain in the morning, so everything was good. I remember I got one over on this one guy because the cab fares were cheaper at weekends. No, they were more expensive, at weekends. Because, because
they could.
Prime time. Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
This guy phones me up Friday night, thinks he's fucking smart as anything. He's like, right, I want a cab to New Cross. How much is that going to cost? And I'm like, I say, I guess, £10 or whatever. He says, right, I need picking up as well about midnight. And how much does that cost? I'm like 15 or whatever. He's like, what? It doesn't cost that much money. And I was like, well, we charge more at the weekend, sir. And he's like, well, it's Friday. It ain't the weekend, it's the week. And then I was like, yes, but we're picking you up at midnight, sir, which is officially the weekend. And then there was this silence for a minute, and he went, just send the cab. You got them by the balls at the weekend. They need your car, so that's always fun. Anyway, I mean, Max has basically launched us into user questions, listener questions.
Oh yeah.
So
I worked graveyard shift at a gas station. That was kind of cool.
Oh, I could see you doing that.
I bet you saw things. Did you see things happen at that time? I like to imagine.
I wish it was in like a worse neighborhood. It was in Sonoma, which is a very, very peaceful, boring place in wine country. But you would get people. There's a woman, old lady, probably like 70 years old, and she'd come in at like 3:30 in the morning and just complain about the cigarette prices. You know, if I went down the street to the 7-Eleven, these menthols they're 37 cents cheaper, and I'm like, well, fucking hell, lady, they're open too. What do you want? Like, I don't know. There was nothing really that weird. I just kind of sat there listening to Devo and drawing a lot, and I got free Mountain Dew, so that was cool. But the problem was, I was going to school at the same time, so I would work 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. or something like that, or 10 to 6 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night or something like that. And then I have to go to school on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so there was this kind of weird like circadian rhythm switch that I'd have to do, and it started making me go crazy.
I bet it did.
Yeah, because you start the week with 3 hours of sleep and then kind of like try and adjust to that and then adjust back like 4 days later, and it fucks you up. But I remember sitting in my studio drawing class and just sitting there drawing and not really knowing what to do, and just thinking, I wonder what human flesh tastes like. and then I sort of looked up and looked around and went, oh shit, I hope nobody heard me think that. And then I was like, wait a minute, which of those thoughts was more crazy? I don't know. That's what worries me.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Graveyard shifts are where men go to lose their mind.
Yeah,
really.
I won't do it.
I'm so glad I did it though, because it's like, it's just I should have a merit badge for that. It was just like a weird, I don't know. It was an experience.
Yeah, sure. You learned about yourself and the world around you.
No, I mean,
I felt like I was in a zombie movie or like Repo Man or something. It was fucking badass.
You have a way of liking things. That's good. It's a good trait to like stuff. I don't know if I like that stuff.
I've always worked nights and sometimes in like really shitty areas of London. Again, at the cab office, we used to always sort of gather around for the Friday night fight, a real one, not the Destructoid one, that would happen outside at any given time. And I think there's something like bad about English culture when the phrase "don't stamp on his head, no stamping" is uttered, as if that is now the level at which fights become honourable. Like, that's the basic requirement to have an honourable duel, is to no longer stamp on someone's cranium.
Right, the rest of them.
Well, that's just what happens when you guys don't have handguns. We have lots of handguns. As
facetious as you may be, I kind of see that there's maybe a point in that, because the lack of guns just makes them more creative with their ways of killing people. Like, I dare say if we had a gun, like if we had gun laws, the deaths would at least be clean. You wouldn't have, like, what happened in New Green, which was in the town just over from where I lived, a 17-year-old stepping out of a store and having his throat slit ear to ear in broad daylight. On my very fucking street, a 15-year-old girl getting a Coke bottle full of petrol thrown in her face and a match chucked on it. 15-year-old girl face set on fire by an older girl because she thought she kissed her boyfriend.
Whoa.
Jeez.
Like
welcome to jolly old England.
Now I'm depressed.
Seriously, on the flip side, at least like English street thugs, urchins, if you will, at least they learn how to fucking fight. Like, I feel like
I think they.
I have this
each other's throats. That's pretty good. I'm impressed.
I don't know. I've seen it in Mortal Kombat. It's like
what?
There's this certain. I have this like grass is greener on the other side, but it's the opposite. It's like the crimes are more like decadent. But like I imagine that people actually know how to fight in like street fights, and like I remember kids in my high school.
You know how to fight in England.
No, yeah. And it's like, and when like American kids get in fights, they just do this like this stupid shoving and pulling on clothes, and it's very weird. There's just like, Terry, you know what I'm talking about? Like when people fight, it's not so much like punching; it's just like shoving a lot. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, you experience that moment of hesitation right before you punch somebody in the face. I know I have.
Wow.
Have you punched somebody in the face?
I almost have.
Did she have that moment of hesitation?
I tried to, and she moved. No, I didn't experience a moment of hesitation.
So you aimed and fired, but you didn't quite hit.
Yeah.
That counts.
Actually, no, I didn't miss. My friend literally picked me up by the stomach and carried me. It's a long story. I was scrappier in my days before I moved to California, where it's all peace, love, and sunshine.
Yeah.
And pot.
See, I have never had a serious fight, because if I don't talk and they hear how high and weedy my voice is and what a pussy I actually am, people think I'm fucking scary. Because
you are really tall.
Same here. Here. I'm a giant fucker. But when I talk, I'm like, hello, everyone.
Yeah. Are we going to have a fight, are we? And I actually got out of a fight in the middle of, again, shitty fucking New Cross. These 6 youths, basically. And I say youths in the way that police describe them. Youths come up, and I was really pissed off. I'd spent a night in the House Bar, which is the worst nightclub in the world, probably. And I was on my way home, and these fucking kids come up, and they skid past, and they're like, "All right, fat boy!" And I was pissed off, so I stopped, which you don't do in New Cross. But I did, and they gathered round me. They were doing all the sort of head swaying and all the, that sucky noise of,
What? I don't know about that. People do that?
Yes.
It's like something out of the Warriors.
Yeah, but it was that kind of thing, like fucking Warriors. And I realised I can't speak because I'm too well-spoken and my voice is this. So I cannot, I can't sound threatening. I can't be like, you fucking what? Trying to start something, son. That would hurt my little throaty to do that too much. So
Can you not do...
Tara? Oh no, we didn't lose Tara, did we? That'd be sad.
Tara? Hello?
Jim?
Tara, are you there? Yeah, she dropped.
Call dropped when?
I'll call her back in. But anyway, how I got out of this fight was, and it was...
Oh, finally!
So stupid. God. Oh my god.
I thought she'd never leave. Good lord.
But there were 6 of these guys, all looking for a fight. They'd all circled me. I looked at them and I counted them, very clearly. I pointed my finger at each one of them, and then I just waved my hand in that kind of, I guess I could take you all on. The numbers add up. And that actually scared them off.
Whoa!
It actually, because they then looked at each other, and one of them looked at me and went,
"Oh, I'm back."
Hello.
I'm back. Skinhead by self-identification. And he was like, "I'm gonna kill that Holmes guy. He looks a little brown. I'm gonna get him for what he did to the girl who dumped salt on his head." And I'm like, "Hey, come on, Jason. Why don't we just go down and I don't think it's gonna...
You're like this guy who shouts a lot. The cameras, I don't know. What the fuck? I don't know.
That freaks me. People say that, if they meet me at an event, or just talking to me on an IM program, if they find me on G-Talk or whatever, they're like, "Oh, I'm scared to talk to you," and I'm like, "Why? I'm pathetic." Don't bother. But I surprise people because I'm actually quite. I like to think I'm quite a friendly, polite young man.
Yes,
you are.
And I exaggerate my sort of rudery when I'm sort of talking, and in front of people who I really like and am really confident around, or my wife's friends, because then I met some of my wife's friends for the first time a few weeks ago, and within half an hour I was talking about fucking Progressive Flo so hard that the shit rattles out of her ass.
Wow.
Whoa.
And again, not being misogynist, I am.
No, Progressive Flo, I would bang her like a screen door in a fucking
hurricane. I would fuck her so hard that her cells all age at once and she turns to 100 in seconds. And
I didn't know Progressive Flo was a person. I thought we were talking about what people do when you have to insert a shunt into people who have hepatitis C in order to drain the fluid because their bellies get distended.
Is that what Progressive Flo is?
That's what I thought, yeah.
She has just become 10 times sexier to me.
I got one. I want to bang Progressive Flo so hard that it opens up an alternate dimension and I turn into the fucking Verizon wireless guy. Can you hear me now, baby? Can you hear me?
Wow.
Whatever.
I feel so out of place in this conversation.
Yeah, I don't even know who Progressive Flo is. That's a real human
She's the
name?
chick from the Progressive car commercials.
Oh, yeah, she's
Her
okay.
and the fucking Orbit gum lady at the same time, you know? Oh my god.
She
We gotta
creeps
change
me out because she
stuff
looks like a
here.
mannequin.
I
The
think it's-
Orbit Gum Lady?
Yeah.
I only know the cartoon one. She's cute, I guess.
I'd
Oh,
also
Esurance?
Yeah, I'm thinking Esurance. You're right, Tara. My bad.
I'd have that citrus drop and all. I'd have
You
that
what?
citrus drop dancer woman.
Citrus?
The Sun Drop.
Sundrop, that's the one.
Oh,
Tracy
God,
Jordan.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is Jordan. Why did he talk like that?
This is
Anyway,
disgusting.
yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I'm sorry.
question?
I do want to stress, if anyone's offended by that, the joke is, of course, on,
It's my fault.
the joke is just the ludicrousness of it. I'm amused not by degrading women. I find it degrading to myself. So there's your monster.
Yeah, you're degrading
I
yourself.
think it's degrading to humans to put them in advertisements for insurance. Just to
There
put
you
that
go.
out.
I've always wanted to do a blog about insurance adverts and the characters in them. I'd love to do that. Like, do a poll, like, who do you think is better, Mayhem or the State Farm guy? Or the Geico Gecko and the pig that went wee wee all the way home. Like, there's so much to talk about there.
Whoa.
It still
only
has
sort of
awful
know about
commercials now.
What about the Aflac Duck, who is no longer the Aflac
Oh.
Duck because of Gilbert Gottfried saying a bunch of stuff about Japan, I think? Some offensive
What?
things on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, he like
most of
made
that-
jokes about the earthquake like right after
That's-
it happened.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's
so that
doubly
Aflac
terrible. That is doubly terrible because Gilbert Gottfried looks like a 1940s propaganda cartoon of a Japanese.
Duck. Oh my god.
He kind of does.
I feel like anything he says, no matter what it is offensive to begin with. So if
Yeah.
it's
Well, he
actually
goes-
offensive, it's just it breaks like the hurtfulness barrier. I don't know.
Right, it goes
Is that
too
an actual
far.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the way around. Should we do more of the?
Yeah, let's
not
please.
I don't
That
enjoy
was one question. Oh fuck me!
So what are
I
you
was-
looking forward to about E3 somehow led to Gilbert
Gilbert
Gottfried's
Gottfried, yes.
tree? All right.
Oh, this is more like old Podtoid. This chaos. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Okay, here's an interesting one from Porkle Schmorkel. Are games journalists similar to music journalists in that they all have a band, or similar to movie writers who all have this big screenplay? In other words, are we people who talk about games and write about games? Do we have an idea for a AAA game in our heads that we're kind of secretly wishing we could turn into a game?
Huh.
Not me, really.
I've worked on a game, sort of.
Which game?
I over last summer I was living with my friends in Santa Cruz. We worked on they were doing a game design program at UC Santa Cruz, and we made an iPhone game called Stack and Deploy, which is actually on iTunes still, I think. And it's I did the art for it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like mostly my plans to move into an apartment in San Francisco fell through, and my friend was like, "Dude, a car ran over my roommate's leg. Do you want to move in?" And I was like, "Okay." And the rest is history. But
Of course.
I don't know. I'd love to make games. I don't have like an idea for a game, but I mean, I'm always talking shit about art direction for games, and that's something I'd love to do someday. That and voice acting. So
Yeah.
I'd love to do voice acting as well, actually.
Dude.
I don't know why that hasn't happened yet, Jim. It seems inevitable that somebody just kind of thrown money at you by now.
There is an indie game that I may be providing voice work on. I'm not sure how large scale the indie game is. It's the guy who did Beetle. Oh, I forget the Beetlenaut.
Oh yeah,
It's
Luis
about-
Hernandez.
Yeah, Lewis. He's working on another game, a more sort of larger scale game, and he's asked me to do some voice acting in that. So it's all like unionized and everything. So it's difficult to get
You have
into.
to join the SAG. You gotta get in
Probably,
that
yeah.
SAG.
Which is a shame because I would love to be an actual Hellgast rather than just walking around with a cardboard box on my head pretending to be one. But yeah, I've had ideas for games before. But they mostly end up in like my many scrapped novels that I write like 2 chapters of and then give up because I get bored. I'm actually making serious progress on a book I'm trying to write at the moment, which, you know, it's not a game, but it owes a lot to games because it's taking a lot of inspiration from Fallout and Portal and all these sort of post-apocalyptic type games, which like
cool
things. So, you know, that's my thing that I'm doing.
Huh. That's interesting. I was gonna comment that from what I know, it's not so much that a lot of game journalists want to make games, but game journalists want to write other stuff too.
Yeah, I've been wanting to write a movie for ages too.
Yeah, and it actually is one of the things that frustrates me about game journalism as it is, because so often the writing in the game will really get scrutinized or get praised, and I don't really care about writing in most games, to be honest. I care more about the visuals, having a visual arts background. So there's games I'd want to design the visuals for, but I wouldn't ever want to write another goddamn story. Are you kidding me? There's so many stories already.
Well, writing for a game is really not necessary. You know,
I don't think so. Like, to me, in terms of priorities, what I look for in a game: gameplay, then visuals, then music, and then way down there is like what the story is. Unless
what's the story for Tetris?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
actually,
there's exceptions, of course, but
when I was a little kid, I used to. When I was like 5 years old, I remember going to my friend's house and playing his Game Boy, and I didn't know how to play Tetris. And I saw there's a picture of the Kremlin on the cartridge, so I was like, "Oh, you're supposed to build castles." And needless to say, I always fucking lost at Tetris.
Yeah, I think I made that connection once too. I mean, I do like some games that are, you know, all about story, but generally speaking, I wish there was more people who cared more about game design and game journalism and less about writing. So that's my little soapbox there. Done talking.
Huh. Well. See, I'm different because I got into gaming a lot more after I'd played Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid, which were, of course, very narrative heavy, and those were the games that made me think of gaming as a potentially stronger narrative medium than anything that had come before, if only the right people had come in. To do it. So that's where I come from. It's like, no, story's not essential to me. I play fucking Streets of Rage on a regular basis, and, you know, to say that game has a story is putting
a wonderful, amazing story.
Yeah.
Sure, like, it's the story of punching the guys again and again. And then
can we make a fucking Streets of Rage movie, like Destructoid people? Can we do that when we're in LA?
I want to do something with you guys. I also have an idea for a live-action Pac-Man movie I was going to pitch to you guys that we could shoot.
Can I wear my fingerless leather gloves?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay, because I will.
You ask? Absolutely. Right. But I'm with you, Jim. I think that games can be... I think they're the best. I love them. Yeah. Video games.
But I get what you're saying about the bias toward narratives, because I've been a writer for 8 years. That's my thing. Sure. And I am obsessed with stories. And even though I have tried to write about 5 stories over the past goddamn 5 years and given up because my brain gets bored, I still dream of doing a really nice narrative, and I want to see games do it. And if I were to cross over into that side of the industry, there would definitely... I'd want to be a writer. And I would actually love to one day possibly be a writer for Valve, if not sort of an independent writer, like, for books or whatever. I would love to write at Valve because they seem to really respect good sort of writing. So they'd never hire me, but I'd love to go regardless. Gotta say that before anyone else does. Eskimo Bob.
I want to be in a game. I'm just putting that out there. Like, I think that would be cool. Actually,
you might be in one.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you already are in one.
Yeah, we know. But is that public? Do we know about that yet?
No, it's not public.
Well, then let's ignore it. I want to be in game. I want to be like somebody who people just shoot in the fucking face. Like, I'd love to be like the annoying bastard in a fucking GTA game, or like some stupid like side character in Gears of War. If Cliffy B was like, "Hey, fucker, you want to be in my game?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Can you make it so that teenagers can shoot me in the dick? And he'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "Okay." I'd be totally okay with that. You know?
I've actually been trying to get into Serious Sam 3 for the past few weeks because one of their PR guys made a joke about it, which to me is as good as saying it's going to happen. So now I've been like constantly bothering them. And we started up a hashtag on Twitter called Serious Sterling, and they told me to like make a tryout tape, which I still need to get around to doing. I'm going to cut some funny tryout tape and say, let me be in the gameplays. Like,
I
as a
love their
multiplayer
PR guys. They actually, after I did the drunk game review, they shot me an email and they were like, hey, you like drinking? You want to be doing a drunk review of Serious Sam? We'll send you liquor. And I'm like, hello. So I think they're actually mailing me vodka. I'm not even kidding.
Whoa, can you mail vodka?
Awesome.
I don't know. Let's find out. But
I guess you'll find out.
They seem like they have a good sense of humor about things. Like, someone sent me a PR email about that, like, what's your address and all that. And then somebody just replied, like, reply all, and it was just, I wish I could do drunk PR.
They are lovely guys over there, actually. I spoke to a lot of them when I was doing... they confirmed Serious Sam 3 to us sort of somewhat before the release, which we posted, and they've always been really nice to Destructoid, and yeah, love the guys behind Serious Sam 3. Moving on, gotta move on. Eskimo Bob asks, now that LA Noire has just about perfected facial movements in video games, what aesthetic technology would you like to see taken to that level next?
Clothing.
I want to smell video games. Only nice smelling stuff, though. I don't want my apartment to smell like a rotting swamp or something.
Oh, I would love a scratch and sniff Silent Hill.
I was always obsessed with that scene in Willy Wonka where they have the scratch and sniff wallpaper.
Oh, sure.
Do you remember that part where it smells like bananas and shit?
Lickable wallpaper.
Yeah, snozzberries taste like snozzberries, yeah.
I'd actually like to see the facial movement technology implemented into a really amazing graphics engine like Frostbite or something. I think those two in combination would make for an amazing looking game.
Oh, yeah. It would be a great game. It would be called Reality.
Mm-hmm.
Be called A Video of People.
Right, but better.
Right.
Max, you said fabric.
Yeah, fabric and clothing. That's one thing is, I mean, it's come a long way, obviously, but looking at LA Noire, the way outfits move, they've tried a lot, and it's, things have been done, but that's one thing that people haven't quite, I don't know, nailed. I remember seeing a tech demo a while ago. I think it was for some Assassin's Creed something or other, and it was just showing like, showing a flag or like a banner or something, and how it would move in the wind, like a curtain sort of, and it was imagining that, but used to like map around. I mean, you could, if you take like that level of detail in the facial structure from LA Noire and then apply that to like shirts and stuff, that would be pretty incredible. Like have fabric actually sag the way it does in real life and bunch up.
Sure. Yeah, well, they can do it in the movies, so.
Oh, yeah.
The CGI movies, so I'd assume in 5 years or so it won't be too expensive to do it in games.
See, I want to say what Max said, but I want to be more specific and really specialize and say capes. I just want.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, there you go. I want good cape technology. I want it fucking swirling around and not flipping through things. Like if I'm riding a horse with a cape, I don't want the cape to go through the horse's ass. I want it to.
If the horse is riding a cape, or if
I'm wearing a cape riding a horse, usually the cape will clip through walls, clip through the horse's arsehole, that kind of thing. I want LA Noire's technology poured entirely into cape physics.
I want a fucking Connect title about folding a contour sheet. That's a puzzle game for you right there.
Should I? I guess I'll answer.
Yeah,
no, I don't want to. Well, actually, I was going to say about LA Noire before. I would want the facial animation technology to not just be kind of canned motion capture of people's faces. Like to me, motion capture is just like the auto-tune of animation. As someone who used to do animation, it's like
That's
cheating.
True.
I'm not impressed with it. But if they could link the facial animations and how expressive and realistic they are with the actual AI of the characters that you interact with kind of on the fly, like not pre-scripted stuff, but you just bump into a guy in Grand Theft Auto and his face can react that expressively based on how he emotionally reacts to what you did, and have the AI be complex enough that it's like how a real person might react, as complicated as that. That's what I'd want. That's a long answer. Did it make sense though?
Yeah. What about taking the facial capture technology and sort of remapping it so that like muscles sort of let's imagine an orc who has human facial expressions.
Okay.
Like, you take the kind of the mapping points of how the whole facial mapping button thing, avatar, whatever thing is, and then kind of rearrange them so it's like a different bone structure, different muscle layout, but the same basic things. Like if let's imagine I get in front of the motion capture thing and I smile and I stick my tongue out and make stupid faces and have a conversation with you, but then you take that and you kind of adjust it so that it's like, I don't know, a wolf. Let's have a talking wolf. I don't know.
Isn't that kind of how they do it anyway?
Yeah, it is, but I don't know if it's real time-ish enough for them to do it as kind of a creepy virtual avatar sort of Second Life virtual reality deal. That would be great. Yeah, if we could all just be wolves. That reminds me of a guy. I'll tell you a quick story. Did I ever tell you about the guy who only was attracted to Jar Jar Binks that I knew?
No.
Wow.
All right, quick. I'm going to time this one. I'm counting the seconds. I went to art school with a guy. He loved Cerebus the Aardvark comic books, which I talked about last week, and he couldn't figure out what his sexual preference was. He's like, I kind of like guys. I like their skinny arms, but I kind of like boobs. I don't know where I'm at with this. It's so confusing. And he was in his 20s, so he should have figured that out by then. He went to go see Phantom Menace, and he came out of the theater and said, finally, I've got it. I know what I want. I know who I am. And he spent the next, I knew him for about 10 years. Drawing pictures of Jar Jar Binks in sexually provocative poses. He had
Holmes,
Jar Jar Binks.
Why did you know him for 10 years after that? Like,
he called me, and I wasn't gonna, what am I gonna say? I don't like you? No, it's just like, oh, how are you doing, Carl? His name is Carl. And you're like, oh, pretty good. I got this new Jar Jar Binks pillow that I'm really into, and it's really soft. I'm like, that's cool, Carl. And his dream was to create a.
Say his name. Implicate him.
Is he on Facebook? Because it's not like anyone else is here. I mean,
we all want to harass the Jar Jar file.
But his dream was to create that kind of interactivity where it looks like, you make up a fake avatar for yourself, but it reacts. So we could have sex with Jar Jar, basically. He wanted to use it for Jar Jar sex.
What I want to know is, I've known you for about
4? I think 4 years.
Around about 4 years.
Yeah.
And this is the first I've heard of this. Why was this not the first thing you ever told me, ever, before even saying hello? That's the thing you tell people as a greeting. I know someone who wanted to fuck Jar Jar.
And not just kind of. I mean, that's all that's... every conversation led back to that, and there was drawings all over his house. His parents paid for him to just live in this gigantic house by himself. He was one of those guys. I could go on. I feel like I've already I was timing myself, and I went way over my time.
Let's get a question. I don't want to imagine anything else after
I feel
that.
like guys. Yeah, that took too long.
No, that's done. That's it. I want the show to end on that note.
All right.
Plus, we've gone on perfectly too long.
Yeah, as usual.
So, how do you end a podcast with that?
I got one last question. Okay, if you could fuck any fictional character, who would it be? God. I know. I asked you this yesterday. You still didn't answer me. I ask you this every day, Tara.
Well, Tara needs to answer first.
Fuck, I don't know.
Fictional character can be
like from a movie or something.
Can be live action characters.
Anything.
Like Christopher Reeve's Superman or something, right? That counts. It doesn't have to be a drawing or like a chia pet or something, right? It can be like a dude.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm not talking like objects. I'm talking like, but saying it's Christopher Reeve Superman is just kind of like, that's kind of specific. It's like, might as well like, no, fuck Christopher Reeve, but
right.
Just say Superman.
Okay.
But nobody wants to fuck Superman.
Is that right?
Okay, I refuse to go first. Somebody else do this while
Louis Griffin, I don't care.
What'd you say? Louis Griffin?
I would.
Lois
Griffin. Oh, from the
Family Guy?
I would.
That's a good one.
I don't give a fuck. I would.
Let's It's tough. I'm not that horny, guys.
Rouge the Bat.
It's true. Yeah, people who know me.
What
like,
about Laura Croft?
No, hell no.
Oh God.
No.
I love that I confessed to that I'd fuck Rouge the Bat as well, but everyone was too busy laughing. So I got that under, although I just brought it back.
I've got my answer.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Ned Flanders.
Whoa!
Nothing
at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
He would be amazingly generous, also, I imagine.
That's true. He's in really good shape.
Yeah.
He'd probably shower immediately afterwards, though. It's okay. I would too.
I guess I'll just go with. Dang it! This is hard. Can I give up? I can't think of anyone. Sex with them?
Yeah, sex.
Fictional character.
Sex.
Sexy sex, huh? The good kind.
Ian Batiste.
Can you go, Max? I'll do it. I can do it. Just if
I
you
just
go.
have this kind of like vague lineup of X-Men characters who are girls. I'm gonna say
You don't even have
Dazzler.
a good answer for your own question.
I don't have time to think of one answer. That's horrible. There's too many of them. I'd like fuck half the Marvel universe. I'm just saying. Like Princess Leia is pretty obvious, but there's also like Ula the slave girl. You know.
Yeah, I'd prefer Ula. Sure. Yeah, if between choices, I can take.
I've always been partial to EV-99 if we're talking Star Wars.
You're a feisty little one.
You're a feisty little one.
You'll soon respect on the master's sail barge.
I'd respect her master's sail barge.
We've done it. I'm not gonna.
We've gone from fucking Star Wars characters to fucking Star Wars characters.
Yeah, it's bound to happen with this crew.
Right, that's it. That's your luck. I would like to thank Jonathan Holmes, Max Scoville, Tara Long. Those latter two you can check every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Destructoid Show, which is a show about Destructoid. You can see it on YouTube and Revision 3. And you can see the rest of us on Destructoid.com. Listen to the show and, well, it's too late to say that now. But subscribe on iTunes. Give us little reviews on iTunes if you liked us. And, yeah, see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.